G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talks Stuff Ukraine War Update for the 23rd of July 2027. While the war continues, I'll continue to bring you comprehensive news, unfiltered, from both sides of the war. Sorry, I have a sore throat today, so I'm going to keep this brief, but not too brief. Most of the drama today, as you can see, the green dots, they represent protests. As you can see, it is mostly on the Ukrainian side. The Ukrainian heavy, these are 70+% Slavic. These are 35, 45, 60, 70, almost 100% Rus or Russian. Although Ukrainian is a derivative of Russian. That's why they can understand each other. Now, as we look around the map, the biggest drama today is the fact that we've now got a 7th day of protests in Ukraine. Now, the Russians have barely advanced, but they have struck Odessa, Kursk, Sumy, and Kharkiv. Most of the battle today was in Donetsk and Zaporozhye. Very little activity outside of that. And it's in the usual places. Lyman, the push towards Seversk. The quiet front is not so quiet. I shouldn't have called it the quiet front because it is now pretty hot. They've had small breakthroughs. Kursk is still being cleared. It's very boring. Russian security services patrol the streets with dogs, men with minesweepers continuing the streets, disposal units clearing out foxholes and dugouts all the way through Krosnokovia. The Russian army is bogged down by cleaning up operations. And so, now these are specialist teams, and they'll probably be there for weeks before Krosnokovia is bulldozed and rebuilt. By then, you'll probably have the focus will shift. I doubt the focus will shift away here. But here, the focus will probably shift to 1, 2, 3. And this battle group will go 1, 2, 3. Basically, like a mushroom. 1, 2. You have 3 armies battling towards this corner, I guess. That's not how I envisaged the initial movement, but the battlefield is shaped by the position and collapse of Ukrainian defenses. And because they're all so close together, like this trench falls, they go to this trench, and now, and so the Russians gain virtually nothing. And that's how it's going. And that's how it's going to continue to go until 4 deadlocks are broken. And those 4 deadlocks are: 1, you've got to stop supplying weapons to Ukraine. 2, got to recognise Russia's claim to the territory. Well, that's... Since 1's not going to happen, 2's not going to happen. If 2 doesn't happen, then 3, a return to peaceful trade can't happen until 1 and 2 happen. So, and 4, pretty much. You're not going to have a reduction in nuclear weapons, are you? If you're not going to a reduction in nuclear weapons, if you're not going to resume peaceful trade, if you're not going to resume peaceful trade, then you're not going to recognise the four territories, and if you don't recognise the four territories, you're not going to stop supplying arms and equipment to the Ukrainians because Europe wants its strategic victory. Boy, it's such a complicated mess now, isn't it? All right, my Kickstarter is launched, and couple of days it goes live. All right, my Empire of Elves art book. So thank you. I really appreciate if you give us a follow. All right, so US and Russia have met in Manila to reinforce readiness for a political diplomatic solution, but Zelensky rejected this, and so nothing's going to happen. The State Department has offered few details about the meeting, saying that Rubio and Lavrov discussed and the need to end the war, but that's about it. And without ending the war in Ukraine, then nothing else gets solved, basically. And yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Zelensky's the second spare tire. We only need one spare tire. We only got room for one. Now, Ukraine has called for, I got this in the wrong order, sorry, an escalation in retaliation for Russian attacks. Ukraine wants to escalate its attacks against Russia, because there's no way Russia can escalate, right? Putin is stroking his bomber. Soon, my precious, I will drop you on Kiev, and whoosh, it will cease to exist. It'll be ashes. No, I don't think he's really doing that. He's stroking his cat behind the desk, going, wah. Yeah, that's the thing, right? You want such villainy, when in fact most world leaders are very uninspiring, very ordinary. They have a lot on their plate and they're juggling. To have the caviar or the caviar? It's the caviar. All right, so Ukraine has hit more warehouses of the top Russian online retailer. This ain't no threat to Amazon, as other buffoons would have you believe. This company was a threat to Europe. Europe did not want to see Russians successful, because Russians were being successful in Europe. Obama couldn't have this. Merkel and Hollande couldn't have this, so they set about destroying Russia's oligarchs, because if they're, in their eyes, Russia go down, we go up. Numbers must go up, comrades. So Russia's attacking wild berries. Why? Because successful Russians make weak European leaders very, very exposed as weak. It's the old, if we can't be successful, you can't be successful attitude of the liberal establishment. You're not in our club, therefore we destroy you. And that, you look around the world, look at it all, right? The WEF, the fascism that oozes out of that pustule, and yet no one outlaws it. No one will ban them from office. And they continue pumping out these ludicrous crazies who drag down civilization, you know? Half your problems come from politicians from the WEF, from Open Society, funded by George Soros and the European Union. You know, that's half the world's problems right there, solved by getting rid of two fascists, Ursula von der Leyen and George Soros and his ilk. Him and his son, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in jail, and there it goes. There goes most of your problems. In jail. Ukraine's attack of Sevastopol a short time ago, actually well over an hour ago, was repelled by Russia's army. 4 UAVs were destroyed in the first wave. The Russians didn't follow up this article with any other, but there was the air alert. An emergency appears to be over, with no explosions reported. Germany is no longer going to automatically protect Ukrainian draft dodgers. Now the numbers seem to vary, but as of spring 2026, there are 4.33 million Ukrainians in temporary protection across the bloc. 1 million of those are military age, according to Eurostat. Now, Zelensky's twice said if we could get 2 million Ukrainians under arms, where they're going to get the money for an army of 2 million. Look at Russia. It's got an army of 1.1 million, and it costs them 129 billion just to feed, clothe, and equip them all. Plus, add that the cost of the war. Where's Ukraine going to get that money from? It doesn't even have 128 billion. It has 127 billion, which it has to spread over the entire economy. Yeah. But hey, all you Ukrainian bios, all you out there with your Ukrainian bio flag, none of them are going to pay for it. None of them are going to go fight for Ukraine. Put him on the front line. So you'll soon end the war, man. And put the politicians or the kids on the front line. Though, let's be fair, some politicians' kids have served, so that may be an assumption. But I'm pretty sure there's quite a number of politicians. Hey, Zelensky, front line, bro. That'll end the war. Now, Russian strikes on logistics centers have continued and will continue. And so far it's only been Sumy, Kharkiv. I guess because there's, I think Russia's looking at where the protests are and they're heading where the protests aren't. So they've been very clever about their attacks. Although there were air raid alerts for Ukraine, there was nothing reported near Kiev, only on the fringes, which I think has been very strategic given the fact that Ukrainians are protesting, and there are those who are using that to point at the protesters and say, see, they're doing Russia's work, we must be united. Isn't it funny how the left always talk about unity when they're in charge, and rebellion and speaking truth to power and fight the fash, bash the fash when they're in opposition? That's right. If only there was a word for such hypocrisy. Yes, if it was communism. All right, folks. Ukraine is in a pickle, escalating the war. There's only so many times you can escalate before people are going to be yawning at the word escalation. And more protests, but Today, Ukraine did not lose much land. Tomorrow, they probably won't. But we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and please support the channel. I'll continue to bring you the news the mainstream media ignores, sweeps under the rug, covers up or denies, but I need your help. More and more news services are going subscription models. We've seen this with the New York Times, where they only dish out 4 stories a month for free. Wow, way to go, right? But there are still many news sources out there, I know, but eventually I'm going to need financial support. So you can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. All my links are in the link tree description below, in my profile, or scan the QR code on the screen. Appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video. Sorry. Bye for now.